What's up, everybody? Blade Scholar Magic, and today I have the Ninja Turtle deck for you. It's coming out like in a couple months. I'm gonna make sure to get my MagicCon tickets today. I'm also gonna do like an in real life vlog soon, guys, where I'm gonna go to the strip. I live about, I guess, like would you say 15 minutes away from the strip. So I was thinking maybe getting some really cool footage from the strip and kind of getting you excited about MagicCon, maybe visiting the convention center ahead of time, maybe talking about some of the places nearby. We were talking about today, my wife and I, there's the Westgate, there's the Sahara over there. We might kind of do some walking and kind of checking out the different areas, and then even maybe a restaurant on the strip that maybe you'd like to enjoy. We were thinking about Din Tai Fung to kind of feature that one. That would probably be worth it to visit the strip for. I'll be honest, as living in Las Vegas for 10 years, I haven't really, I don't really visit the strip as often as I did when I first lived here. In fact, I probably only go there about once a year, and I think the last time we were there was for MagicCon last summer. So yeah, we don't really head out there unless we have to, like for trainings or something. But other than that, that's pretty much it. I also wanted to feature in that same vlog, like maybe the best pizza place in Las Vegas that I've experienced so far, and also the nicest LGS I have as well. And maybe do that all in a video to kind of get like a really cool idea of what you have to look forward to if you do come here for a MagicCon. And I think it'd be very fitting for me, as I've lived here for quite a bit and would be considered a native at this time, that I could kind of show you what I know. Along the way. And if you have any requests, like if you ever wanted to know anything about Vegas, or had any, we're looking in for a particular restaurant idea, or you wanted to know something about Vegas, go ahead and ask me, and I will do my best to answer your questions. But I haven't done this very often, where I make a deck that's for cards that haven't come out yet. So in this particular video, we are going to share some of the newer cards from the Teenage Ninja Turtle set. This particular deck is going to play a partner setup. So it's going to have Donatello and Raphael in the command zone. So they can be partnered together. So you just love to see it. They work very well together. They complement each other very well. So I guess we'll just go over Donatello first. Donatello the Brains is a blue card for 3 mana, and it's a legendary creature, Mutant Ninja Turtle. If one or more tokens would be created under your control, those tokens plus a mutagen token are created instead. So it's kind of like an Academy manufacturer, but it's going to be creating these things called mutagens. And what's a mutagen? Well, a mutagen is basically like a one of, like you pay 1 into it and tap to sacrifice it to give a creature you control +1/+1. That's what I've read about it so far, and I think that's the extent of it. Why that works really well with Raphael is because Raphael loves to see 1/1 counters on creatures. And in fact, if your creatures have a 1/1 counter on them, they will do double damage with Raphael on the battlefield. So like a Twin Flame Tyrant, kind of synergy here, as you would say. And also would create a mutagen token on itself when it enters, so more value as well. So it can enable itself. So obviously these are going to work very well with each other. They're going to create lots of mutagen tokens in tandem, and simply enable the Raphael to have your creatures do some serious damage. So there's those two. We can kind of keep moving down the line to see the newer cards. The next one is the Raphael's Technique. This is a wheel. It's just going to want you to like basically ninjutsu a card. So we have a new mechanic called Sneak. So you may cast a spell for 2 in red if you also return an unblocked attacker you control into 2 hand during the declare block step. Very nice for us. Obviously, when you wheel, you want to imagine that you're degassing very quickly, like you're expending your hand very quickly to basically take advantage of playing all those spells and then simply wheeling to regas and getting all the value from your hand into the board or wherever. Or in this way, we'd also like to build a graveyard because we're going to have some ways to get artifacts from our graveyard back onto the battlefield through various ways. So Raphael Technique is fantastic. Casey Jones also is going to be a really nice option. A 2/1 haster that's going to basically look for artifacts. The top 4 cards of our library, get an artifact in there into our hand. So there's that. That will be a nice little effect for our game plan, because we're going to have lots of artifacts. In addition, you have Krang, the Mastermind. Basically a thought monitor, but a little sillier, because you could be empty-handed and regas up to 4 cards with this, which is a really interesting value. And also, it's just going to get a 1/0 buff for each artifact you can control. So extremely strong there. Very expensive card as a pre-release. All these cards are, but wow, that's just like kind of a wow card. And then Raphael also is, it's kind of like I like the menace about it, and it's also on flavor. So we're going to stay with flavor with this deck. There might be some better options in terms of more mana cost efficiency, to grant like extra combats at this kind of stage of mana cost. But the fact that it has menace is really nice, and it's a Ninja Turtle, and it's Raphael, so that's just what we're gonna do. So let's see, going. I think there might be one more card, or is that the extent of it? Okay, so that was the extent of the cards that for the Izzet deck that we're going to be running, and that are Ninja Turtle based. So apart from that, the major game plan is you're going to want to get value from your tokens, right? I think Indomitable Creativity is really good. If you're going to be making, playing artifacts or making tokens, you're going to be wanting to, get value because they might just be sitting around. You can get into more powerful things, like such as with a card like Indomitable Creativity. We can imagine that we can go ahead and create some, munitions tokens, right? And as we create more and more munitions, like if we have 3 munition tokens and they're just sitting there because they don't sacrifice themselves, we could go ahead and destroy them in Indomitable Creativity and replace those 3 munitions with 3 actual permanent cards from our library and put them right on the battlefield. And that's some really nice value. This particular card works with having 3, like for instance, if you had 3 tokens that you were ready to sacrifice or creatures, you would pay X3, and then you'd have to destroy those 3 things. You couldn't just do like X is 3 with like 3 treasures on the battlefield and use the mana cost of X from those treasures. No, you'd have to have the 3 mana and those 3 treasures, and from your lands, and then you could destroy those treasures for that value. So that's just like kind of like the game plan is to create these tokens, get a lot of value from them. And another way, other than just like destroying them, is sacrificing them. So cards like a Goblin Engineer is just goated here. You guys are going to love the Goblins. Like Goblin Welder, Goblin Engineer, they just do so well. And actually, I think Goblin Engineer has grown on me, like especially in blue, as being like the real deal. Like, why I say that is because it will basically entomb anything you want. So if you have like the nuts, and you have like a Trash for Treasure in hand, and maybe perhaps you already created a munitions token through one of your commanders, you could simply just play your Goblin Engineer and put a portal to Phyrexia, into your graveyard if that was the best play. But Trash for Treasure, your little munitions token, and then you have a portal on the battlefield. So this is kind of the interchange here. Is very classic, very, very common for your red-minded, the ready decks. Just really nice stuff where you're interchanging basically little things for big things and skipping your curve in that manner. Probably one of the better, cooler things that I can imagine in this deck is like the there and back again sequences. I could see some really weird stuff going on with this, and let me tell you guys. So what you're going to want to do with this at a baseline is make your Smog, and then have a card such as Brutaclad on the battlefield. And what's going to happen is with Brutaclad and Schmog on the battlefield, you're going to move to combat. You're going to make all your munitions and all your tokens copies of Schmog. And the legend rules itself. So what happens is you can't keep like 14 Schmogs. You can only keep one of those. So those other 13 Schmogs that die are going to simply die. And then all of a sudden you're going to have 13 times 14 treasures, which is like 100-something treasures. So that's fun. And you're definitely going to... What are we going to do all these treasures? Well, if you have a Midnight Clock on the battlefield as well, then you're just regassing. If you're degassed, you're going to have 114 treasures and a full grip. And who knows what you could do. You could really pop off on a turn. You can really do a lot. You could do a lot. So there's the sky's the limit, man. You can really pop off in a really dramatic way. And very exciting Izzet deck here. It kind of brings those familiar vibes, doesn't it? It kind of does. It's kind of very familiar. It's like the old school, new school stuff. Like you have these really cool cards like Manufacturer, which will just increase your tokens. It's just another replacement effect. So, it's really interesting. I think like because you continue to create these replacement effects, they'll probably see themselves as well. So I make, for instance, I make a treasure with this on the battlefield, and I have Donatello. I make the munitions tokens from seeing the treasure. Then I create the clue and the food, and then for each of those tokens, I create more munitions. So like I said, like a Brutaclad is going to be very good here. You're going to have like a lot of access tokens. You're not really going to know what to do with them all. A card that can kind of reach parity with that is your Grinding Station, starting to get value, building your graveyard, doing like your Underworld Breach again, and kind of getting into some redundant value. Just from playing cards from your graveyard over and over again. And building your graveyard, which is kind of what we want to do. We definitely have an equipment kind of build here. So we do play some like nice haymakers like Gilgamesh, because it's simply going to like love for you to get your Genji gloves equipped and like, have some really nice dramatic combats. Gilgamesh is going to be really nasty in that way to kind of derive a lot of equipment value from all the really nice equipments that you're going to be doing. So in terms of the counters, right, because Raphael wants to see counters, maybe we don't always have time to put the munition or spend mana for the munitions and paying that 1 to sacrifice munition tokens and give a creature 1/1. We can also do it through like our Evora. Our Evora will just kind of enable itself through discarding, so this will just have a counter on it. Inti will also do that. These work very well together, Inti and Evora, in these like kind of discard red decks, from my experience. So you're just going to love that kind of effect about, kind of enabling counters on your stuff. Lelia can do that as well. And of course, the Sprite Dragon is just beautiful here. Beautiful. My pet card. I was always looking so good everywhere. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Some other cool lines, you're going to always have your Wormcoil engine that makes tokens upon dying. So that's going to just make more munitions. It's like it's so nutty. It's like a token munitions. This is like a lot. There's a lot going on here. So I guess we're going to do a little bit of a, as you would say, some gold fishing here. A little bit of a FOMO hand here. Fumbo. And maybe our guys just get us there. Maybe the FOMO just gets us there, But I don't know. Can you really mulliganize this again? After you just mulliganized, go down to 6? Yeah, let's try to go down to 6. Looks a lot better. So we're going to go down to 6 and probably just get rid of I don't know if you can get rid of a Blasphemous Act. And all these cards are pretty good. It's probably the Beat Stick, right? This does create fodder, but also the Zidane also will create fodder too. So it's probably the Beat Stick. So pretty easy just to like kind of lead with a Ragavan here. There's not really much to think about in terms of that. And we're probably going to be accelerating pretty quickly into our stuff. Probably in our best interest is to slam in our Donatello and start making like tokens, right? These guys are going to work really well with each other, considering this lives right through its attack phase. And we can move to our next turn here, start making munition tokens as we slam in, and treasures, and probably wanting to get down our welder. Seems probably pretty good. We'll not have haste. Hopefully, maybe surveilling with this one. Kind of looking to see what's going on. So no equipments yet for our fumble yet, but will probably be, you can also bounce a creature, but I think we're good here. Thought Monitor is pretty amazing because, like I said, like you're just making treasured munitions, so this thing gets like enabled really fast. It just gets a lot cheaper, right? Nothing really high impact to get out through our Duretti at the moment, but I can imagine a Thought Monitor, like Goblin Welder kind of like loop would be pretty cool. You know, you kind of be looping in a lot of gas here and really resurrecting with your Duretti. So it'd probably be here. You'd probably be looking to get your thought monitor down, maybe draw some gas here. And that's looking pretty hot. You have your Emery's here, Strike It Rich, Grinding Station. Yeah, that seems like a very appropriate mulligan. We put away a card too. So that looked pretty strong off a mulligan, actually. Ragavan really kind of brought that one home. Yeah, Ragavan is always a good choice. Always kind of retains its $40 price tag, doesn't it? $30, not so bad for this version. Let's see the other printings. Pretty good. So there are some sleeper hits in here that I would like really encourage you to look at. Maybe that might spike a little bit because of munitions. Like there's so many different tokens for transmutation font now that it just seems like it's very poised, like very well, because you have these like this new munitions type of token, which is a token with a different name to go along with your treasures, your foods, your bloods. So we do create bloods here too. So Evora is a really special card. You can see that she can put counters on, enabling Raphael, and also create tokens that will trigger Donatello. So she's kind of the perfect card to meet up here. So I'm really high on transmutation font for $1, and I'm also actually very high on Tezzeret, this 30-cent card. And I'm kind of surprised because it's basically like a soul ring for your equipments or abilities of your first artifact each turn, which is kind of an insane value. And very good for like your reality chip type of effects. We're not running Bankbuster, but that would probably be pretty appropriate. Your Midnight Clock is also a little bit more accessible with a Tezzeret. You can even set off your Fire Crystal if you wanted to make like a copy of your Wormcoil engine, like during an end step. You can just make it cheaper. This also enables your graveyard. So it does those things. Like it can get you card advantage. It can dish out an artifact into your graveyard, which is very productive. So overall, a really cool deck. Hope you guys liked it today. Seems like a really sweet choice. This looks like a pretty insane hand. Would you keep this one, Lander? I think you would. With a Soul Ring / synthesizer. That's interesting, isn't it? I think you're still probably just like seeing this as like a land and you're synthesizing. Just to like maybe scry for a land. 2 lands in a row. I'm actually going to turn this land into the Izzet land, like the Izzet artifact land, so we'd have a better chance not to brick with KC. That was like my last little change I wanted to make today. So Izzet land, artifact. There it is, the Silver Bluff Bridge. Beautiful. All right, everybody. This was the absolutely busted Izzet artifact list. TMT. Old school meets new school. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye. Like and subscribe. Giveaway at 625 subs. Comment. Yeah.